Hello, my name's Pete Brocklehurst and I live in Godley, which is near Hyde in Tameside. I am a TPT friend and a volunteer as well. I also do volunteering work with Sustrans, and I am part of the group of volunteers that looks after the Transpennine Trail section, which is the NTN 62 that runs from Stockport, past here where I'm stood now, all the way over the Peak District National Park to the top of the Pennines and then down the other side to Dunford Bridge. So today I'm going to go on a journey on the Transpennine Trail with my dog Pepper, so hopefully she will behave. And also, instead of going for a walk today, I'm going to go for a ride, but not on a bike, but on a Sinclair C5, which for those who are under 40 will probably have never heard of, or maybe you have, but it basically was an invention from 1985 by Clive Sinclair, who designed a recumbent tricycle with an electric motor, and this is what I'm going to go out to Apethorn from Godley today. First I'm going to head down towards the turntable, which is technically not on the TPT, but it's just about 50 metres away from the Transpennine Trail on a spur which goes down into the heart of Godley, so I'm going to head there in a few minutes. I've now ridden about 50 metres down towards Godley turntable. Incidentally, if you want to find out about the turntable, Robert has done a really good podcast about this, so it's worth listening to that. But also, if you want to get some real information, you can join our Facebook group. So just go to Facebook and type in Godley Turntable and you find all the people who are members on there. And I think we've just got over 1,000 members now, so please feel free to join us. The weather is absolutely beautiful. The turntable is looking quite autumnal now because we're getting towards the end of summer and there's quite a lot of leaves actually gathering, so I think we will need a clean up and a leaf blow very shortly. But the track next to me where I've just come down on is very, very good. It's clear, it's about 2 metres wide and it's all tarmacked, and it's actually tarmacked right the way back from here to Apethorn without any interruption, so it's a great surface for walking, cycling, wheeling and even the horse riders. So I'm going to head down to the next point of interest in a second, which is the milepost. It's the first of 6 mileposts on this stretch, so I'm going to go down there, take a couple of photographs. I'm now down at the Godley end of the track, which is a dead end, but right next to me is the first of the 6 Millennium mileposts, and this one is actually in the memory of John Carlyle, who was the designer of the Sustrans path on this section. It's just a black and white one, but it does look quite striking, so I shall move on to the next one in a few minutes. It's another 5 minutes on my Sinclair C5 to get there. I've just stopped by the path where it forks. This is where the actual TPT starts and goes up to Green Lane and then down a muddy path. I mean, we're dead lucky here because this bit is completely tarmacked all the way, so there's about 2 miles of tarmac surface, so it's great for walkers, wheelers, cyclists and even horse riders use the path as well, because the bridleway is not in the best condition. It's quite muddy and not really usable in parts, so the horses like to use the path as much as they can. But as we say, care and share the path with everybody and be courteous at all times, and everybody can enjoy the TPT as much as I do. So I'm going to not go up the fork bit because that goes up to Green Lane, which is a bit muddy, so I'm going to carry on down the tarmac path towards Apethorn. So I'm just outside the Morrison's milepost now, which was painted by some of the staff of the local store, which is in the centre of Hyde, which is probably only less than half a mile away from here. And a couple of the members of staff came out one morning and painted it after we did a rough design of what we wanted it. And it's basically in the colours of Morrison's, which is yellow, green and white. This was painted about 2 years ago. Now my partner works at Morrison's, so we thought it'd be good to get a local business involved. And it does say on the actual disc on the sign on the milepost that it is sponsored by Morrison's, but they basically gave up their time to come and paint it with the help of me and my daughter, and they supplied the paint, the brushes and the gloves So that was really good. And it's nice for the local businesses to get involved, especially to try and make some awareness of the Transpennine Trail. So yeah, that's really it. And it says on there, Godley half a mile in the direction I've just come from, and Apethorn is 1.25 miles in the direction I'm going. But I think it's probably about 3/4 of a mile in truth. But they're relatively accurate, these mileposts. Just give an indication of where you are and how far it is to your destination. So yeah, another aircraft going over, bringing the holiday makers back from their sunny climes. So yes, I shall move on to the next. You can probably just hear the plane going overhead, which is on its way to Manchester Airport, runway 23, hopefully landing in about 3 minutes. We're about 7 miles as the crow flies from the airport, so it's very convenient for when we go on holidays, and also my son works there, so we get free parking. I'm just stopped at the moment outside the Candy Cane milepost, which was designed by the G-Cross Scouts and Beavers, and the red and white design on this one is representing their tie. They have a red and white colour tie. Lots of people think it's a bit too brash, but I think it looks fantastic. And at the bottom there's a little sign saying "I promise," which is one of their mottos. At the moment, Pepper is behaving impeccably, which is what I expect really, because I've got a bag of treats in my pocket. So she just basically has a sniff around, and then when we move on to the next milepost, she follows me at sort of a running pace really. So yeah, she's been really well behaved, but it does help with a little bit of puppy training and a bag of treats. Here I've just stopped under one of the largest bridges on this section of the track, and there's a little bit of an echo. You might be able to hear that in the background, but it's lovely and cool because it's all protected from the sun, and with it raining yesterday it's quite damp, so it's a nice little break here just to cool off for a few seconds. I've just made a stop outside Gower Woods, which is about the halfway point. There's a nice little seating bench here in the shade, and it leads down to a stream at the bottom, deep into the woods, and it's a lovely area just for going for a walk. It's quite steep and it's got some steps, but it's really nice to go for a walk down there with the dog. And there's a stream at the bottom, so the dog can have a little drink when it's very hot in the summertime. A cyclist just gone past there, and it's quite leafy around here as well. I think we need to get the leaf blower out very soon and have a bit of a clean up, because this is very wooded and there's lots of brown and green, grey, orange, yellow leaves. So I've just walked down into Gower Woods. It's quite steep, so I've had to leave the Sinclair C5 up at the top of the hill and walk down with the dog. She's getting quite excited because there's a little bit of a stream down here where she can have a quick splash and a dip in. You can maybe just hear it in the background there. Well, there you go, she's in now, she's having a good splash around. So yeah, unfortunately it's not very accessible down here because it's very steep. There is some makeshift steps to get down here, but you can just about make it on a bike. But it is very steep, so I've left my C5 up at the top, so I'll only be down here for a minute or two. I don't want to leave it there for too long. But yeah, it's basically just a very dense wood and lots of trees, a very high canopy, and there's lots of leaves on the ground now because obviously we're just about in autumn, and the leaves are falling down quite rapidly now. And you can just see the lovely green lush trees just starting to turn a bit brown and yellow in the edges. So, and there you go, there's a couple of conkers on the floor as well. So there's a horse chestnut tree somewhere which has just dropped its conkers. So anyway, I'm going to head back up to the top, and I'll go back on my C5 and move on to the next location. Just opposite the Rainbow milepost here, Incidentally, all the mileposts on our section here, we have a bit of a nickname for them, really. This is a rainbow one because it's got basically the colours of the rainbow, really, from the blues to the greens to the yellows to the reds. And I think this was in the Sustrans magazine earlier this year because it's very striking with its paint. Quite proud of that because I painted it myself. But yeah, it's quite a striking one, really, and this is about the halfway point now, really, from the Godley to Apethorn section that I'm going to cover. So yes, it's a little bit damp round here because even though the surface of the track is good, there's been quite a lot of leaves falling on it, and it's a bit damp because there's a lot of overhanging trees near the woods. So this bit is a bit muddy in the winter and needs a little bit of extra maintenance. So yes, I'll stay here for a few seconds and then I shall move on. I am about a mile away from where I started now, down at the anchor milepost, and it's just a plain red, white and blue design on this one. I think we've got another plane coming over. Seems to be very busy. I think everybody's returning from the holidays after their summer, and I can just see this one coming right over now, and it's just deploying its undercarriage, so the gear is just coming down. What a fantastic view. If you're into plane spotting like I am, I'm a bit of an aviation enthusiast, so it helps to live under the flight path if you like aircraft. So I'm going to move on to the last one now, which is about another half a mile away. Come on, Pepper. Come on. Pepper. I'm down at the Apethorn end of the track now, at the last milepost, which is as far as I'm going. And it has been painted with a bit of a nod to the Manchester colours with the yellow and black and white. And it's also got a picture of the Manchester bee. You can probably just hear in the background there's a faint waterfall down below at the side of the woods. It's quite a bit cooler because the sun is getting quite low now. As it's beginning of autumn and end of summer, the sun's a lot lower than it used to be, so it's really behind the trees and setting quite early. So it's very damp and cool because it's very wooded here as well. I'm going to head back shortly, and there's a horse coming now, so I'll have to just move out of the way. So I'm heading back home now. It's about 1.25 miles to go. But I'm back in the sunshine again now, so it's lovely and warm. So thank you for listening. Come on.